Good morning, leaders. Good morning and happy Monday. I am reaching out here because we are talking about week 2 and understanding leadership. And this is a critical week for you. Number one, because we've completed orientation. So make sure that you have completed all of the orientation assignments from last week. Everything came due last night. So if there's anything that's missing, fortunately, this is orientation week. So those items are still open and available to you. This will only happen this one time. So make sure to take advantage of it. Head back over there and do that right away before those assignment modules close. Okay. So make sure you pay attention to all that so that we can get into course content this week. We are beginning with course content this week, and I am excited. And I hope you are too, to embark on your leadership journey in this 2000 level course. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying it because I want to put you in a leadership mind space before we get started with content. So deep breath. And I want you to remind yourself that your leadership ability is innate within you, which means that you are able to confidently conquer what comes in front of you. You're able to overcome obstacles. You're able to be resourceful. And most importantly, you embrace challenges and you're ready to apply a growth mindset to tap into that belief in yourself that you can learn anything with good effort. And also that you are committed to being disciplined about getting things done and learning, right? Not just getting by, but learning. So let's go ahead and get started. So leaders, here we go. Understanding leadership. Let's start with the definition of leadership for this course. Why do I say this course? Because leadership is a fairly new discipline, a study that is just coming into being. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I will say the first thing we have to do is sort of nail down what are we talking about in this course when we're talking about leadership. And what we are going to use as our working definition is leaders are effective agents for positive change. Let me slow down, say that again to make sure you have it in your notes. Leaders are effective agents for positive change. And if you listen to that sentence, you can hopefully identify the two key words there. They're effective, right? If you've ever watched The Office, then you know Michael Scott was officially their supervisor, but he was an ineffective boss, not because he didn't care. He had good intentions, but he was ineffective, right? So we have to learn how intentions are not enough. We actually have to equip ourselves as leaders to do the right thing. And how do we do that? We do it by learning and being the type of person who really is capable of leading, even in a crisis. So how do we get there? We get there by understanding that leadership first begins with self-leadership, right? So self-leadership, notice writing things down. Self-leadership is your ability to be able to self-develop, to self-actualize, to realize the potential that's within yourself and bring that forward, right? This is probably the most important skill you will need in life because this skill, as I have mentioned previously, leadership is needed in all areas of your life. You're going to need it in your finances. You're going to need it in your romantic relationships. You're going to need it when you are building a business. You're going to need it in all areas of your life. And so what do we need to know how to do? We need to know how to take accountability and grow. We need to know how to understand that I have faith in myself, but I know that faith is not enough. I have to actually put work into accomplishing those goals. And so we have to do the hard work of looking at ourselves. That's difficult for a lot of people, but the only way to make real change and the only way to grow and to be the type of person who can eventually gain influence, right? To be that leader that you hope to be for others is to make sure that you are walking through the world, holding yourself to a standard of leadership. Therefore, people start to immediately look to you. You're the person who is gaining respect in the room simply for being the person that you are. That is real leadership. Leaders also can always stay hopeful even in a crisis, right? We can always stay hopeful and see possibility even when others cannot. This is a very important skill in life too, right? We've seen a lot of challenges here politically, historically, in our own country with the pandemic and things like that. We have to be able to, even in a challenging time, be able to confront that there is still hope. How do I tap into that hope? How do we create a vision and a mission to be able to create an action plan to bring myself to whatever it is that you need, whether that's safety, whether that's to build a portfolio of finances, whatever it is that you're looking to do, you have to start by taking account. And so that's what we're here to do. Let's also talk about stereotypes of leadership, and this is important because one of the first things we would do if we were in a brick and mortar class is I would sit y'all down and have you guys get into groups and sort of tell me what are your stereotypes of leadership. And the things that I typically hear are loud voice, confidence, tall, I hear good clothes. I hear nice office. I hear somebody who can make quick decisions, things like that. What I think that we need to understand is there's a difference between a boss and a leader. I want you to think about that for a second. You probably had a lot of bosses in your life, probably very few leaders. There's a reason for that because it's very easy to be a boss. Ready? What do you need to be a boss? What do you need to be a supervisor? What do you need to be in charge? All you need is a position or a title. Someone gave it to you. Now, hopefully you earned it, but let's say someone is the son of someone, or let's say that someone just happened to be in that position for a long time, right? It's not always the best person for the job who gets the job. So what we need to understand is that a leader doesn't need a title or a position. A leader does not have to be the person in charge. The leader can lead from the back. The leader can be quiet. The leader can be soft. The leader can be short. The leader can be female. The leader can be all sorts of things that we have often dismissed. And what we are now seeing in the study of leadership is that we're finding that there are so many different attributes across humanity, right, that are important for leadership. It's just that unfortunately, throughout the time in history and society, we've typically started from that particular stereotypical space of leadership. And so we're beginning to understand that first we have to dismantle those stereotypes so that we can begin to look at what leadership actually is. So one of the other things you're going to do in this week's learning module is you're going to go through the history of leadership. Okay, so you're going to learn about what was the great man theory, which was our first sort of theory of leadership, and why was it called the great man theory. You could probably take some good guesses if you're thinking hard about it. All the way until today, when we talk about understanding that leadership is a human endeavor. We know that, yes, we're trying to accomplish goals, right? We're trying to build profits, or we're trying to make a product, but we are also doing that with others. So we have to balance the task and the relationships. Think about that, right? In order to go there and to complete that task to the best of our ability, I'm doing it with people. How do I get the best out of those people? It starts with understanding how to be self-motivated and lead yourself so that you can teach that to those individuals. And then it begins to build leaders within themselves so that they can influence the whole group and each other so that we can build even better outcomes, right? We're also going to learn about universal attributes of leadership. So what do we know? If we know that leadership is not a title, we also know some other things. There's been lots of studies recently that have had us look at, okay, if we ask across cultures, and we know how different cultures can be, across cultures, what are things that human beings like out of their leaders? And we have been able to identify those things. We've also been able to identify the things that human beings do not like in their leaders. So make sure you pay attention to that and that your notes are nice and full. Last but not least, you're going to touch on the fundamental principles of leadership. I want you to really pay attention to that list. And so you can start to really dig down and think about, this is why leadership is so difficult, right? Leadership is difficult because it's not just me making a decision and you go do it because I told you to, and if you don't, I will find someone else who does it. Leaders say, wait a minute, Sarah, you did not perform last week like you did the week before, and I know how capable you are. Is everything okay? Leaders are invested in the people, and then once they're able to ascertain what's going on by saving and paying attention to the rapport and relationship, then they're able to dig into, okay, let's uncover what the problem is here, and let's coach you through how to improve and get where you need to be. It's that investment in people, right? That really builds, a morale of teamwork, a morale of synergy, a morale of getting things where they need to be. All right, so let's talk about what you're responsible for this week. You've got 3 assignments. Make sure that you are using time throughout the week. Leaders, you are not meant to be completing this on the weekend. You are not meant to be just hitting the tasks. You should be navigating to the learning module. You should be navigating through the pages since they're numbered. You should be taking excellent college level notes while watching every video, every slideshow, reading all the content there, watching these videos, taking more notes, and then also making sure that you're completing those assignments by following instructions and to the best of your ability. This is an online course where you get the time it takes to give yourself the grade that you have earned. So make sure that you're taking the time to earn the grade that you want. Okay, so plan time throughout your week. I often tell students, carve out 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, but that can only happen if you're using every single day the way that it should be. I often tell students, all right, leaders, you say that you can't get your work done. Show me what you did for the last 24 hours. Now, there are some of you who are really balancing a lot of things. Maybe you're parents, maybe you have working 2 full-time jobs. Okay, then maybe you can only carve out a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. But there's a lot of us out here who think we have a lot less time than we actually do. Our devices like these often steal our time, and so you have to really look hard at your 24 hours every day and make sure that you are using your time wisely. This is an important leadership skill, but it's also an important life skill. After the timeline, you're going to complete the article and annotation of what is leadership, and then you're going to complete a quick honor lock quiz on the content for this week and some quick review. I am here for office hours. I am here for student support hours. I am here to answer your questions offline anytime. So reach out. Let me know what you need. Y'all, tap into your leadership and step into your greatness. You've got this.